Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great and all that good stuff, having a good week and following the 3 H's of the channel. And in this video, I have stuff from all over the place. I have stuff from Brazil, from the country of Georgia, from somewhere in the US, and Florida. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely pull up a stump with me and let's jump into it. Thank you for watching. So I'm from Brazil, and I live in a pretty rural area, and I was 14 when this happened. I just bought this old SNES off of a friend. He only had a few games for it, so I got those too. But my friend told me about this guy that lives about 5 kilometers or so from my house. I decided that I should go there and see if he wants to sell or trade some games. My friend says that we should go together because he knows him a little better and he won't trade with just anybody. So it's about 5 p.m. and this is during the Brazilian winter, so the sun goes down pretty early at around 6 p.m. We decided to take this shortcut by an isolated and abandoned farm that no roads lead to, just footpaths. We reached the destination in less than 20 minutes. We trade games, and we noticed that night was falling already, so we're rushing back the same way. We don't have any flashlights, so we're going a lot slower. The night is very dark, and we're guided by some distant light on a small trail on the ground. And then we're passing by the side of a small mountain with this huge electrical tower on it. Suddenly, a car type thing came from behind the mountain. We stopped to check it out. We became curious about how a car could reach that place. Suddenly, more lights enter the sky. This car begins to lift into the air. We start to panic and we run. As we're running, we see small lights start flickering all around us. It's like I felt hypnotized. I stopped and I turned around and started walking back toward the mountain, back toward the lights. My friend grabs me by the arm and slaps me across the face so hard that it left a bruise, but it snapped me out of it. Me and my friend both began to run. We arrived to the end of the trail, and at the entrance of the neighbor, my friend is crying, and we're both terrified. We go to his house, and we tell her mom what happened. She laughs and says that we're crazy. We decide not to tell anyone anymore, since if all they're going to do is laugh at us. I only tell it on the internet like this. Later on, I found out that my city is a hotspot for ufology. We even have an extinguished volcano here that people say is the entrance to a portal. Sorry about my broken English. I don't speak it very well. When I was a younger kid, probably in middle school I think, my family went to some kind of church party thing that was near the mountains with some woods. It has stuff there for a campground as well as normal events, so this means there's like a hall, there's places for beds and all that stuff. Basically like a recreational ground, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So my siblings and I are bored. We decide to go for a walk around the outside near the parking lot and across the road near the woods. While walking up this steep hill, we see a toddler off by himself. This is by himself, all alone, outside on the top of this ledge that we struggled to get up. We are dumb kids and we think it's okay to just leave him there. This toddler follows us wherever we go. No matter how fast we walk or how rough the terrain, he's always right there. Eventually, we scale up a steep rocky wall and finally lose him. After a while, we go back to the church for food. We see this same toddler in the church with his mother. She introduces him to us. By this point, we felt awful for ditching the kid. We were weirded out though, because the kid would have to walk around all the rock wall to get to a ramp that leads to the church, and he'd have to do all of this before we did. So as I said, we felt terrible, and we came clean to his mom. The mom was surprised and asked what we were talking about. We said, yeah, he was up on the ledge when we were climbing up it, and she said that that was impossible, that he had been with her all day, and even showed us some of his toys that he had been playing with. For the rest of the event, we gave the kid the name Ghost Baby, because none of us could really explain what happened. But then, something weird happened. It was later on that night, and it was after the event was over and everyone was cleaning up. As we were all leaving, we watched the mother and the toddler get into their van and drive away. And just as it's coming on dark, we get back to our vehicle with our parents, and one of my siblings pointed it out first. They pointed and said, look, just off to the side of the hall, near some woods, we see the same toddler, but this time, he's giving us a very cold stare that's not one that you'd see from a child. I don't know what we saw, but it really, really freaked us out. So I'm from Florida, and that's also where this happened. It happened back when I was 18. I was hanging out with my older brother and a good friend of ours. We were drinking some beer and listening to music pretty much all day. It was during the summer. So we go to the gas station to get more beer around 2 a.m. It's pretty much deserted, except for one other truck, I believe. My friend goes in to get the beer. He comes back to the car with some guy claiming to know us. Me and my brother looked the guy over. His back was turned toward the light, so his face was a little hard to see, but from what I could tell, he was unbelievably skinny. He had deep scar tissue and pot marks on his face. He was super pale, had greasy blonde hair, faded blue eyes, and a crooked nose, like it had been broken before. He ignores me completely, looks right at my brother and says, "You don't remember me? It's Josh." Now, this might sound just like a conversation with some tweaker, but everything gets a little hazy for me at this point. I start to feel really off, really sickly, kind of like in a semi-dream state. My brother and my friend both comment later about having the exact same sensation, like they didn't quite know who they were talking to or what was going on. Like, yes, we had a couple beer in us, but we weren't drunk. We drove there, and it was like being the drunkest that you've ever been, and then taking melatonin on top of it. My brother shakes his head, and he says, "Oh yeah, how have you been, man? It's been forever." I still have no idea who this guy is. He talks to my brother and our friend for about 10 minutes, telling old stories from their high school days. He mentions that he's living with some older chick a few miles down the road, and he just bought a new guitar and is now working at a car lot. He completely leaves me out of the conversation, but every now and then he glances over at me. He has the coldest stare ever. I get this feeling like he doesn't want me there, like I'm interrupting something. Eventually, my brother asks him to come back to the house and chill with us. This Josh gains some enthusiasm, says, "Yeah man, for sure, we need to catch up." I interject and say that there's no room at the house, all the rooms are filled. This guy gives me another cold-ass stare, and there's silence for a few seconds. And while he's staring at me, things get really hazy. I don't even remember him leaving. I don't remember him or my brother or my friend saying goodbye. All I remember is seeing him walking away from the car for a few feet and then disappearing into the woods behind the gas station. The truck from earlier was gone as well, and I don't remember hearing it being started or hearing it leaving the area during or after the conversation that we had with this guy. My memory literally jumps from this freak's unsettling stare to my brother asking, "Don't you remember him?" I think for a second and say, "No, I have no clue who that creepy MFer is." He says, "Oh, that's Josh Anderson," not his actual last name. I say, "What the hell? I know this guy. I known him for 3 years, went to school with him, and I had seen him 6 months before this time. He looked nothing like him. Everything was different. Hair color, eye color, facial features, skin tone, even his height." We try to rationalize it by saying that he could be really sick or on some hardcore drugs. We all forget about it until 2 weeks later. My brother comes back home one day, says that he had seen Josh again, but this time it was actually Josh. He looked pretty much exactly how we remembered him, just a little bit more of a stubble. Nothing like the guy we had talked to in the gas station parking lot. He told my brother about his new older girlfriend, about his new guitar, and his new job. My brother freaked out and mentioned bumping into him at the gas station a couple weeks ago. Josh had no idea what the hell we were talking about. Josh said that he was away on a camping trip, and some stuff happened. He got attacked, so he came home early. But I don't know if the two are related, and I don't know who that creepy guy was. I never want to see him again, and I don't want to know what would have happened if that thing ended up coming back home with us. I've been debating whether to tell this story for a while now. I speak English with an apology. It's not my first language. I live in a country called Georgia, and after school is over one summer, I and several of my friends decided to go out of town a bit and go on a bit of an adventure, travel around. The weather was beautiful, and it can be very hot in the summer in Georgia, so myself and my friends, 7 of us all together, were enjoying long walks. The first few days, it was so much fun. We drank and smoke and laugh, and everybody's having a great time. However, I have a friend called Alexei, and we were going with that crazy little man. He's not bad crazy. He's just not afraid of anything, and he's kind of mean-spirited sometimes. So one night, we were camping in the forest in this clearing. It's getting dark, so we will all go and get some firewood. I and my friend Locab has a large knife that we can use to cut the sticks up. We are there because we have been drinking for a while, and we honestly got a bit lost in the woods. Myself and my friend are becoming frightened. We start hearing rustling in the woods. We begin to panic. It's very dark. We can't see what it is exactly, but it's coming closer. I call out, and out comes running and screaming Alexei, trying to scare us. We laugh it off, call him some swear words, and say, yes, we were so scared that we almost cut him with the knife. He said that our friends have not seen us for a while, and he came to find us because they're getting a little worried about us. As he speaks, this smell hits me like a punch in the face. I almost vomited and asked him why he smells so bad. He tells me that on the way back, he wants to show us something. So, we walked back, and I'm still confused as to why it smells so bad. He won't answer any of our questions. After about a 10-minute walk, which we thought was going back to our campsite, we arrive at what looks like a former military bunker. Again, the smell hits me in the stomach, worse than what Alexei smells. Tears come into my eyes, and I ask if Alexei came here. He said he did, but even he was scared and went to find us and wanted to come back. Locab is looking at me and says that he is really not comfortable with the vibe of the place, but I want him around because he has the knife and is a very strong man. So, I convince him to go with us into the bunker. As we enter, it's very dark and so cold. But it's completely silent, and the smell is getting worse. As we get a little deeper into the bunker, I have to take my shirt off and wrap it around my mouth and nose so I don't have to smell it. As I take off my shirt, while it's over my head, one of my friends pushes me to the ground and then runs off laughing. I get up. I can't see Alexei or Locab anywhere, but I still hear someone laughing in the distance. I can't see very good. I start feeling along the wall and walking to try and find my way back out. I feel something soft. My eyes focus on the dark, and then I just vomited everywhere immediately. I just stuck my hand into the eye of a dead body. I look at it further and I try to work out how he died. I can see that around the neck is some kind of dent. I'm confused because I don't see any rope to hang himself. I'm curious as to what really happened to him. I understand now that this is the really terrible smell that I smelled. I just try and get back, and I'm going to try not to kill my friends when I find them. Locab still has the knife after all. So, I'm just in this bunker in the pitch black, calling out to my friends. And then, as I'm screaming their names, I hear something. I stop for a moment, and it's silent, so I ignore it. I walk a few steps. I hear it again. At this time, I was really scared, and I just started running. I can hear the noise coming from behind me. I trip and fall over. The noise stops. I'm terrified. I get up, and I can hear shuffling. At this point, I realize that the noise is going on at the same time that I'm moving. I take another step into the dark, and yes, I understand the two-step thing, one of mine, and then I'll go to fake a step, and then I'll hear the other thing that's behind me. I spin around and look behind me as this happens. I cannot see very far in the distance, but I don't see anyone. I take a step back, and then, a moment after my step lands, I hear something else move on the ground. I was almost crying at this point. And then I feel a drip on my shoulder. My shirt was wrapped around my face. I touched it, and it's sticky, but still wet. I'm stunned. I just stand there for a minute. In the distance, I hear footsteps and think that my friends are coming back for me. But I turn around and take a step forward. This step is the worst step I've ever taken in my life. I felt a cold, wet rope tighten around my neck. I walked straight into a noose, and I felt being lifted up into the air. Now I can hear laughter. Open your mouth and try to laugh. That's what it sounded like. I looked up at the roof, and I see something that haunts me to this day. I can see the outline of what looks like a short, bald man. He was naked and had the head and a body, but where the legs start is some kind of mass, and then 4 or 5 small, stumpy legs sprouting out from it. How he had been gripping on the ceiling, I do not know. I understand that it was this thing's footsteps that had been chasing me, and it was on the ceiling. The noose, or what I thought was a noose, was actually its tongue that's hanging out of its mouth, and it comes down and is wrapped around my neck. I keep trying to pull it off, but the more I pull, the more it tightens and yanks me up into the air. I don't know if it's laughing out loud or I just got closer, but that noise gets louder and louder. I feel myself beginning to pass out. My hands are flailing. I can't fight anymore. My bladder lets go. And then I hear this terrible screaming, and I can breathe again. Locab is slapping me in the face, trying to wake me up. I thought I could hear footsteps, but I didn't know. I thought this was the end for me. I'm not sure if being choked knocked me out or falling from such a height, but he cut the thing's tongue with his knife. It screamed and scuttled off. Locab had to help me, but we left the bunker. He said that I was taking way too long to come back, and he wanted to see if I was okay. I was so scared. I'm still scared. To this day, I don't know what the hell that was. I never want to go back there, or anywhere near those woods. I gathered all of my things that night. I left the camp, and I walked back to where I live the same day. It took hours. Locab and his knife came with me. This was 12 years ago. Since then, I've never spoken to Alexei again. And, unfortunately, what Locab saw traumatized him so badly that he hanged himself in June of 2014. I'm only writing this down because my therapist says that it would be good to write it down and then it's off my chest. My friends say that Locab went back to the cave for over a year, but he could never get back in. Alexei apparently wanted to go back and try and kill this thing to get revenge, but it was guarded by military security forces. I've tried to go back to those woods a couple times to conquer my fear, but they were fenced off. I can still feel that thing around my neck at night. It's so cold. So, what'd you think of those? Let me know which one was your favorite one down in the comments. Do you have one of your own? I have an email in the description that you can send them to, and I'll try to get back to you. If you sent in a story and it hasn't been in a video yet, it's gonna be, don't worry. In the description as well is a PayPal and a Patreon if you would like to support the channel that way. No pressure though, just watching the video really helps too. And of course commenting and stuff. And one of my favorite things about seeing stories and stuff from other countries, especially countries that speak a language other than English, is the funny translation things that can happen. Like when it said that the sun sets at 6 p.m. In the original, it said the sun dies at 6 p.m., which is like something you read out of a horror movie. But yeah, I just found that a little funny. It also happens whenever I try to speak French. Me trying to participate and tell one of my friends that she looks nice in French when I'm actually talking about her shoes. So, you get things like that and it's always funny. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did and would like to watch another video, then I'm going to have a couple up here somewhere on the screen. And if you've seen them and want to watch them again, all the good that is too. I said that all backwards, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Anyways, thank you for pulling up a stump. Make sure to follow the 3 H's of the channel, which is happy, healthy, and hydrated. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.